Women and men of the 515 AMAL, I hope this message finds you doing well. I'd like to start off today with telling you a little bit of a story. So, when I was a young captain flying C-130s out of Dias, we were getting ready to go out and do a mission, relatively large mission, 7 aircraft, but you got to remember there's, 24, 25 aircraft on the ramp, so not all of them. To go out and fly a formation. And I've got a key part in this formation as I'm leading it, and we're going through all the details as we're prepping to brief it, and we get to the portion about when are we going to do engine start. Now in the C-130 community at the time, it was very specific in how we did engine start. We were going to pick a time, everybody's going to start their engines right at that time. So if it's 0530 in the morning, everybody is starting that first engine right at 0530 when the second clock swaps to 530. Then exactly 2 minutes later, we're starting the second engine. And then 1 minute after that, we're starting the third engine. And then a minute after that, we're starting the fourth engine. And I'm like, okay, it looks cool, and it does look cool, particularly when you got all the aircraft doing it all at the same time. But frankly, I just didn't care. All I cared was have your engines going, have your engines ready to be in position when I need you to go. That was all I cared about, and that was all I said. Just do that. So sure enough, we get out there, 1,000 things going on that I need to worry about as the person who's leading it. And when we get out to time to go, and I'm ready to taxi on out and move everybody, I've got 2 aircraft that aren't ready. They've got small things that they're working through. So one of the aircraft is able to get their issue resolved, and they're able to join me at the end of the runway before I actually take off, and the other aircraft is able to join about 30 minutes later. So just before we're getting ready to go in and do our drop, which causes a lot of problems. As you can imagine, these things snowball. They join at the end of the formation. They were supposed to be the number 4th aircraft, so I don't have the right crew in the right place and all these other sorts of things. So at the end of the day, I'm getting ready to head on over and figure out from everybody what happened. And I realized that, hey, this is a really small thing for why this aircraft caused all these sorts of problems. So, being the young captain I am, I walk over to maintenance and I kind of try and get a little bit smarter and say, hey, what the heck, guys, this was a big deal. We talked about it the day prior. I had a lot going on. Why couldn't we have, got this small thing fixed? And what I learned from them was, in a very nice way, hey, sir, well, if you'd have done a 2-1-1 engine start, like everybody does, we'd have known what was going on. I'm like, why? Why the heck does that matter? Because they were all sitting out on the ramp watching all of these 20 plus aircraft out on this big, massive ramp at engine start. And rather than, all the engines starting the way I described, what happened was this aircraft over here started engines, and then this aircraft at a different time started engines, and they didn't know exactly what was, going on and where things were happening because the information wasn't flowing. It wasn't being communicated to them, and they were waiting for somebody, at some point to make a radio call and to pass on out to the person in the truck so they could drive over and get the right person at the right time at the right place. So now, what would have normally happened? Well, normally, when all the engines start at the right time, they just sit there and they're looking. And then they look for all the engines to start. And then when one engine doesn't start, they automatically head that way because they have the information. Oh, and by the way, they don't have to figure out what aircraft is having problems because, hey, I know that these aircraft are all starting engines. Why is this aircraft not starting that second engine? They're the only aircraft that's not started the second engine. So I probably need to send folks over there to figure that one out. Information was being communicated at a lower level. It wasn't going through a specific stovepipe. It wasn't waiting for a co-pilot to make a radio call. Information was flowing out there. And that's really what I'm getting at right now. I'm trying to figure out how across the wing, particularly our wing, which is at all these different locations, are we able to get this distributed information out to the warfighters, so that you can make warfighter decisions at the scale and tempo of what near-peer conflict is going to require. Not the scale and tempo for the type of conflict that we've been doing in the Middle East, not the scale and tempo for what we do in our day-to-day operations, but to change to a place to where now everybody is getting the information and to develop this culture where we're ready to act on that information. And that's tough. That is really, really tough. And by the way, I'm not gonna wait for some new exquisite piece of technology to come out or anything like that. I'm gonna do it with what we have on hand. Because yes, the technology is great. And yes, the technology is gonna change over the next few years, but we can, with what we have today, develop this culture, an idea that we're gonna get information out to more people and we're gonna make decisions at a lower level. And rather than using a Mark 1 eyeball like I did when I was a lieutenant, and how I was communicating to maintenance on what aircraft was having an issue by the process in which we were pushing information out and how we did our engine start. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make information available straight to your cell phone. All right. Now, not everybody's going to choose to use it, and I'm not really concerned about that, because frankly, if you're going to get at what these things need to happen, you're going to want it. You're going to sit there and say, hey, wait a second. Information that before I had to go to a computer to get, I can now get just pushed straight to my phone. Absolutely, that's what we're doing. Everything that right now we're pushing out over the computer for information on aircraft and how we're running missions, we're just going to send it through your phone using a program called Mattermost. So that's how we're getting at it, and that's what I really, really need you guys to think through and to work on, is figure out, how do I take this information and make decisions faster and at a lower level, not for how we're currently doing operations, but for the speed and the tempo and at the scale with the number of sorties that we're going to require to conduct conflict against China. That's what I need you to get at. All right. It's important to understand that that's just one of 5 wing priorities, and those priorities match up very well with both your squadron's priorities by design, as well as AMC's priorities. If you want to better understand AMC's priorities, and I really think it's important that every single airman in this wing hear from the AMC commander what her priorities are, we've got ATA coming up next week. Sign up. It's easy. It's virtual this year, so you've got a great opportunity to get out there and learn it and understand it. So I'm highly encouraging everyone to do that. Also, with the subject of wing priorities, there are a lot of things that I look at when a package comes across my desk, whether it be for quarterly award, annual awards, wing strats, all of these sorts of things. And I think you probably understand that those are going to be everything from, job performance, does the individual meet standards, what are they doing to improve themselves, all of those sorts of things are in there. But one of the ones that should never be a surprise to you is, I'm interested in what are you doing with your time to get at the wing priorities? How are you taking an hour a week to make yourself more digitally adept? How are you, taking 30 minutes a week to get smarter and to help push forward these ideas on what the port of the future is going to look like, or what maintenance of the future is going to look like? All of these sorts of things. These are things that you can get at. How are you helping us address our diversity and inclusion issues that we're pushing across the wing? Those are all important, so I don't think it should ever be a surprise to folks that, yeah, I'm interested in knowing what are you specifically doing to get at the wing priorities. And it should be straightforward, because, hey, they line up with the squadron priorities as well. Last thing, and I know I've kind of hit on this before, but I wanted to talk a bit with this, and I know I've gone way long today, but I'm okay with that. It should be clear to every single supervisor that I have an expectation that 3 to 5 times a week, you're going to spend 3 to 5 minutes one-on-one getting to know somebody, and you should be able to do this with about 3 to 5 people. All right, you say, well, I'm a supervisor of 15. Okay, I got it. So pick 3 to 5 people that you're comfortable with, have them stock with 3 to 5 folks. Now you've just covered down on all 15. But it is absolutely my expectation that supervisors know their subordinates, and hopefully peers will know their peers, and you'll develop an organization where folks, are actually willing to talk to each other. I've said it before, and this one completely blows my mind, that we'll sit there and say, hey, I'll go to war with you, but I'm not comfortable understanding who you are and talking to you about politics, talking to you about self-harm, talking to you about sexual harassment, talking to you about diversity and inclusion. If we can't have those conversations one-on-one, how are we ever going to get to a place to where we can have those conversations in small groups? And I fully expect each and every unit to be continuing on with their small group conversations on these subjects. So get at it. And guess what? Once you get to know people and you know a little bit about them, and that's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a 3 to 5 minute conversation on a specific topic. I'm saying take the time to know them, know what's going on in their lives, know what's going on back home, know what's going on, what they're planning to do for the weekend. As a supervisor, it's pretty easy to say, yeah, you know what? I know some people who used to do that over the weekend and it didn't work out so well for them. Maybe you should have a better plan. Maybe we should think through what that designated driver plan is, or whatever that high risk activity, and to have those conversations. But that's my expectation. Get out there and make sure that you're talking with each other, and you know the people you're working with. Last, but not least by no means, just know that it is absolutely my privilege to be your wing commander. I will lay down my life for each and every one of you, and that is one thing that I take very, very serious in our responsibilities. So we will defend the Constitution of the United States. That is what we are here to do, and it's why we're out in the Pacific. To uphold those ideals and to defend those ideals. So know just how much of a privilege it is for your entire wing leadership team to get to serve you. So with that said, make sure you're wearing your mask, wash your hands, be COVID smart, and absolutely please take care of each other. All right, I know we went long this week, but have a great day. Go get at it and press.